Okay, so before we can look at why we can trust the Bible, um, I think it's good to look at why we should not automatically not trust it before we even come to look at the case for the Bible as being the Word of God. So I wanted to address that here in these first few videos. So the first point I'd like to make is that the Bible we have today is essentially identical to the original Bible. And I know that's a very surprising thing to say, but it is true. Dr. Norman Geisler is a seminary professor who co-authored the book General Introduction to the Bible, and he says that the text of the original New Testament has been reproduced with the exception of just 3 pages. And those 3 pages are largely disagreements of spelling and grammar. This claim is uncontroversial. New atheist Bart Ehrman, who is hostile to Christianity and the doctrine of biblical inerrancy, is a competent textual critic, and he explicitly states numerous times in his book Misquoting Jesus that the Gospels we have today are essentially identical to the original Gospels. Textual criticism is the science which has reconstructed the original New Testament. This reconstructed text is available for purchase. It is called the UBS-4, the United Bible Society 4th edition, or the NA-27, the Nestle and Aland 27th edition of the Greek New Testament. And I'm not sure if the 27th edition has been published yet. They may still be on the 26th edition, but they're working on coming out with the 27th edition of that. Now, the Old Testament was meticulously copied by scribes with obsessive-compulsive carefulness. They had all sorts of checks and balances in their professional copying of the Old Testament. When the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, they were ridiculously similar to the newer Masoretic text of the Old Testament. In conclusion, the Bible we have today is virtually identical to the original Bible. This is uncontroversial by people in the know, though it is contrary to popular misunderstanding. So that was the first point in these introductory considerations. And the next point is self-contradictions, alleged self-contradictions in the Bible. There are many examples on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet of alleged contradictions in the Bible. One part of the Bible contradicting another part, so goes the claim. Some of these are ridiculous, however. For example, it is not uncommon to hear skeptics objecting to the historical reliability of the Gospels because they give different lists of women going to the tomb of Jesus. One mentions Mary, another Mary and other women. A third mentions Mary and Mary Magdalene and miscellaneous additional women. I think it's easy to see why these claims don't really hold a lot of water. There could have been several women, one of them Mary, one Mary Magdalene. There's no contradiction there. Most, if not all, of the alleged discrepancies are based on a shallow reading of the Bible. For example, in one gospel, Jesus says that we are to hate our parents, while elsewhere, I lost my place here. Let's see. For example, in one gospel, Jesus says we are to hate our parents, while elsewhere he tells us to love even our enemies. This is a shallow reading, for a parallel passage of the same event in a different gospel says we are to love God more than we even love our own parents. Furthermore, in many of these kinds of discrepancies, the King James Version of the Bible is used instead of the original Greek or Hebrew, or a modern English translation. Maybe hating parents, an obsolete King James English, or the untranslated New Testament Greek, means don't love them more than you love God. Also, we have to realize that the Gospels were not intended as chronological history in the modern sense of history. Modern modernism history. Um, this does not mean that they are untrue, but if Mark, for example, places the beheading of John the Baptist earlier in his narrative than, say, Matthew, that is not a contradiction. Another problem that often arises is with respect to dates or numbers in the Bible. Maybe 1 Samuel says there were 500 Jewish soldiers at a particular battle, and 2 Chronicles says there were more than 2,000. Several things to keep in mind here. First, we are not sure exactly how to interpret numerical expressions in ancient writings. Second, dating methods used in antiquity were a lot different from dating methods we use today, and this consideration obviously doesn't apply to our example here, because it's not a date, it's a number of people. And third, we do not have the original Bible today. We have copies. The scribes doing the copying were not infallible. We know from personal experience how easy it is to copy numbers wrong, like if you're balancing your checkbook. Scribes did take precautions not to make a lot of mistakes, as I talk about elsewhere, but there is no guarantee of absolute perfection. Maybe somebody just copied the number wrong in this example. It is no big deal and says nothing against inerrancy in the original Bible. That seems to be the unstated purpose of pointing out self-contradictions in the Bible, to try to disprove inerrancy. With all of these considerations in mind, then, we may reject all, or at least a solid majority, of alleged self-contradictions in the Bible. That is, there is no reason to agree with internet skeptics that the Bible is hopelessly riddled with self-contradictions. It may turn out that there are a few here and there, though I do not personally believe this is the case, and all of this is not all by itself to say that the Bible is the inerrant Word of God, just that it is not hopelessly riddled with self-contradiction. With this misunderstanding removed, we may take the Bible more seriously. Now in the next video, I'm going to look at alleged contradictions between the Bible and facts that we know independently of the Bible. So that's what we'll be looking at next. Thank you.